Over the past 15 years, David and Joe Grigg have taken advice from Lincoln University researchers and others to capture the benefits of subterranean clover on their dryland hill country property for spring grazing ewes and lambs and follow-up grazing for cattle. Meat and wool returns for Tempello Station have risen considerably as a result of the pasture management changes made.
Subclover has made a huge difference in the fact that we can finish lambs much quicker. In the olden days before subdivision, and we couldn't use that sub to its maximum, we were only getting 27 kilogram average lambs at weaning. We're now well into the mid-30s. We are finishing 2-year-old cattle at much quicker rates than we ever had. They're growing up to 2.5 kilograms a day on this sub. So the financial benefits of that are just huge. Sub's always been here. It was introduced by my father in the 70s, but when he introduced it, the country was still in huge big blocks of land. It was sort of 100 hectare plus. And we met a fellow called Dick Lucas under the Monitor Farm days, and the facilitator for that was Pete Anderson. Those two were instrumental in getting us going. And that really came down to how we managed that sub, and Dick taught us huge amounts. We have a water supply that gets water all the way up here, and we have subdivision, and that gives us so much more management tools to get through. Clover's biggest enemy, particularly if you get summer rain, is grass. Ryegrass, cocksfoot, be it what it may. So to enhance that clover growth, you actually have to control that grass, and without having to chemical top, because we've got cattle, they are very effective. And you know, it all goes hand in hand. For hoof and tooth, you need fences and you need water. So we've got all that now. We're going to be the first block, I think, for the rotation. Probably the best feed we've ever seen. 3,500 kilograms easily in here. So there's the first 10 days for tupping, no trouble.
When Dick Lucas from Lincoln University first came on the farm, he got us all on our hands and knees and said, get down in here and have a look and see what's here. And this is when we realised we had Woodgenella, Mount Barker and several other varieties of subclover swamped by grass mainly at that time. So we've learned a lot about subterranean clover since that time. We're involved with the Lincoln University Dryland project, and we also have done some photo diary work over time, which has been an interesting collection of work really. Subterranean clover is an annual clover, so it germinates in autumn, grows through winter, it grows at a lower soil temperature than white clover, and then it flowers in spring and sets seed in the ground, hence the subterranean name. It's actually in the ground with burrs. So then this plant dies, releases nitrogen, and the seed germinates again in March, ready for that key growing time. And we've found it's just slotted perfectly into our dryland hill country farm system. David's father, Tony, oversowed it with a DC3 initially at 3 kilograms to the hectare in the 1950s and 70s, mainly the 1970s. And that is really the only seed that has gone on since then. We're trying to move it up the hills gradually through letting the runners of the clover go out and further along the hills by controlling the grass so the sub-clover can actually get some sunlight on it and move around. We've also have established and oversown new blocks in the archery side of the farm for new areas of subterranean clover. We find it's good to have a range of flowering times. Obviously the ones that suit the land is going to set more seed, and then that will become your dominant variety. So for us, Woodgenellup's a great fit.
It's got 5 trifoliate leaves up, look at that. So this is actually well and truly ready to graze. This is what we call a germination of a Woodgenellup clover plant. This has just the 3 trifoliates up, and as you can see, still a very juvenile root structure on it, not particularly thick and no runners coming off it. In this situation over here, we have another clover plant, and you don't need to see there's far more than 5 trifoliates on that, and you don't have to be a wizard to see just the difference in the stem size and the root structure. This one here is ready to graze. You can graze that in the autumn. The root structure is sound enough that that will recover by the spring. If you graze this one, it will not recover. The root structure is not deep enough. So it's very crucial that you absolutely make sure that that plant's established. That's paramount in the autumn time. We're probably one of the last people in New Zealand to have Corriedales, but I still like them. They are quite easily scanning 170% and lambing 135, but they suit this country so well when it's dry. And I do like their mid-micron wool. Hoggets to ram is definitely an option here now. The hoggets at 45 kilograms, and in another fortnight, we'll have them closer to 48. So the potential is definitely there. Should make reference too that all our hoggets disappear into the vineyards for winter, and the vineyard feed is ideal tupping feed, so it's definitely an option. We make sure the fertility is good. It does like sulphur and reasonable phosphate levels. This country has a sort of an average Olsen P of between 14 to 17, and that's quite sound for sub, and it also has a reasonably good sulphur level of 12. But other than that, it's money for jam. We don't have to really apply nitrogen on this farm anywhere. This stuff's doing it for us. But I guess the most amazing thing about it is that lambs, when they're growing on this sub, will grow very, very close to 0.5 kilogram a day if conditions are right. The one thing we do understand about the lifestyle of sub is that if you manage it properly, you can cover the ground with sub very, very quickly. It's incredible how far it will spread if it's managed properly. It's an extremely clever plant, very adaptable to these dryland conditions. It buries the seed or the burrs in the ground about 1 centimetre, and once it's done that, you can graze it, and it's not normally until December. And that also ensures by then that you have good quality feed for cows and calves when the bull's out. So it's an extremely win-win situation for us.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.